So I bet you heard the phrase, "Okay boomer" before. Probably when some dude on Instagram was yapping about why some random rapper from the 90s called something like Jizzle Jizz is the best rapper of all time, or someone else going on about why all Gen Z is gay. However, most people don't know what the rest of the generations are, or what they're called. But this is Dr. Gene, and today we're going to have an oversimplified understanding on all the generations and their names. Lost generation. Those born between 1883 and 1900 are called the Lost Generation, and it makes sense, because why the fuck would someone be born that early? These people witnessed the first aviation attempt, the Great Depression, and World War I. In fact, a lot of them actually fought in it. Some famous names from this generation are Charlie Chaplin, Roosevelt, and Joseph Stalin, who was actually born on 1878, but is often grouped with the Lost Generation. Imagine being older than a group of people called the Lost Generation. Anyways, some stereotypes about these people are dressing classy all the time, chain smoking in cafes, and fucking poetry. The Greatest Generation, 1901 to 1927. These guys were born in the worst time possible. They were mostly kids during the Great Depression. They fought in World War II and the Korea War and were constantly at the edge of their seats because of the Cold War. Greatest Generation, more like Cooked Generation. I'll stop making jokes now. These ladies and gentlemen are known for being patriotic, hardworking, and believing in traditional values. To be honest, if you're from this era and you made it till the 80s, you're probably tougher than Mike Tyson. Some famous people from this generation are John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and Marilyn Monroe. None of these three made it till the 70s, by the way. Silent Generation, 1928 to 1945. They had it a bit better than the Greatest Generation, but not by much. They were mostly teens at the end of World War II, but they were war-ready for Korea and the Vietnam. Once again, they had to worrying about the US or the Soviets nuking them most of the time. They were also there for the civil rights movement. So if you were black and from this generation, your life probably saw a great change around your 30s. Rightfully called the Silent Generation cause these guys caught an ass swooping whenever they dared to speak without being spoken to. Your grandparents are probably from this generation, if that makes it clear why your grandpa makes you want to go Heil Hitler. To be honest, they're just like the ones before them. They just suffered a bit less. Some famous people from this generation are Elvis Presley, Pope Francis, damn by the way, and fucking Bernie Sanders. Baby Boomers, 1946 to 1964. Probably the most roasted generation in history. They're Gen Z's main ops on the internet. These dudes did all type of drugs at 17, had sex with someone they just met at a hippie festival, found a job as soon as they graduated, bought a house for $20 and had a full family by 25. That's why they're always going on about how stuff and people were way better back in their days, as if they aren't responsible for the current state of the world. These guys were there for the Vietnam War, end of the Cold War, early computer revolution, and getting shit-faced at hippie fests. Must have been really easy back in the day because Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Donald Trump, and Steve Jobs are all boomers. More famous boomers are Michael Jackson, Madonna, Maradona, and Michael Jordan. Generation X, 1965 to 1980. Wonder how we went from obedient little shits to YNs? Well, the answer is Gen X. If generations were kids in a class, Gen X would be the emo dude with the anarchy symbol all over his table. These people are known for being the first generation to stop being obedient to parents and government all the time. Gen X were the first to have personal computers, gaming consoles, cable TV. I mean, these things existed before, but this was the first generation that had them in almost every house by the time they were teens. They also witnessed the fall of the Soviet Union, the end of the Cold War, 9/11s, and the Iraq War. God, they want to be like the boomers so bad. Some famous people from Gen X are Elon Musk, Kurt Cobain, Tupac Shakur, Mike Tyson, Trudeau, DiCaprio, and Eminem. Millennials, 1981 to 1996. That hipster with skinny jeans, gluten-free diet, and no job. He's probably a millennial. That cute girl with 1,000 filters on MySpace, probably a millennial. They're known to be addicted to social media, liberals, and overly caring about the environment. Basically, imagine if San Francisco was a person. Of course, these are all stereotypes, but yeah. They were there for 9/11s, the Iraq War, and the explosion of the internet and social media. Famous millennials are Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Rihanna, A$AP Rocky, and Mark Zuckerberg. Gen Z 1997 to 2012, the finest specimens, God's chosen people, the saviors of humanity. Okay, for real though, most of you guys are Gen Z, and I just now realize how vague these classifications are, because the difference between someone born in 1997 and someone born in 2012 is crazy. Anyways, these people grew up with social media, so it's an important part of their lives. They also have their own slang that a boomer probably wouldn't understand and some really questionable humor. These people were there for social media domination, COVID, and the rise of AI boom. Some famous people from Gen Z are Lamine Yamal, Zendaya, Juice WRLD, and Ryan Garcia. Gen Alpha, 2013 to 2025. Basically iPad kids. Honestly. How can you be this late? These people witness literally nothing except for AI. That's literally it. They were literally too young to understand what COVID is while it was still going on. Some famous people from Gen Alpha are Stormy, Northwest, the Indonesia boat kid. Hope you guys now have a good understanding of all the generations since the 19th century. This video wasn't easy to make, so I would really appreciate it if you subscribe, like, or both. Thanks for watching.